You are live.
Hi everyone, welcome to Chivas Chit Chat. This is going to be our weekly show where we discuss the current trending topics from the previous week. It's going to be from 6 to 6:30 every week. Today we're starting off kind of late because of technical difficulties, but please feel free to send in any questions pertaining to our current topics or any questions that we could answer in the coming weeks or any topics that you'd like us to discuss. So today, Gabrielle will be starting us off.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk to either of us specifically, that's Giovanna.
Hi, Giovanna.
I'm Mirka.
I'm Gabrielle.
And I'm Rosamond, so you can ask us specific questions or the whole group. What are we going to start off with?
All right, so first off, we have Elizabeth Warren. You may have heard that last week, Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made it so that Elizabeth Warren couldn't complete saying Coretta Scott King's speech. And it's still been circulating in the news today, so I think we're going to kind of discuss it. Should it still be in the news? And was she rightfully silenced?
I don't know. I get that there's a rule in the Senate that's been there forever. What is it, Senate Rule 19 it's called? And basically that rule, it says here, no senator in debate shall directly or indirectly by any form of words impute to another senator or to other senators any conduct or motive unworthy or unbecoming of a senator. I think the rule in itself is a problem because it's so vague.
Yeah.
How do you determine what
someone's motive?
Yeah. How do you determine that? And then how do you determine that what someone says is an attack to that? So I just feel like the root of the problem is that actual rule.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you're asking me, I don't know. I think she's a little bit clever. How things played out might not have been anticipated by Warren or her constituents, but I don't know. I think she's kind of clever to bring up that letter, and it was definitely something that she felt was important.
I think it was interesting how you brought up the Senate rule because, true, it is very vague, which leaves room for interpretation. And I think that in itself shows us who retains power in Congress. Of course, it led them up to interpretation. And because Republicans were majority in that House, that led them to go kind of against what Warren was doing. You know, majority rules, Warren was out. And that's just how it went up to the interpretation of that law for them.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely not just out of wanting to keep order. I think it was definitely a target to shut her up. I mean, she's been Trump's worst nightmare throughout this whole campaign and election period, and I think they just really got tired of hearing her and anticipating what next she's gonna say. I mean, because I read, I think it was a CNN article that pointed out that several people had read that same letter. Senator Tom Udall of New Mexico also read that letter earlier, and Senator Jeff Merkley was also allowed to read the same letter. So it's just kind of odd that when it came to...
It's a matter of who's being shut up, sort
exactly.
of. So I see where you're coming from.
And I think with the Women's March and everything that's been going on lately,
Yeah.
they just literally gave more ammunition to the liberal side, you know?
That's true, yeah.
Because now Warren is being held up as
A
this beacon
crusader,
of
yeah.
yes,
Like
exactly.
freedom of speech, right?
And it's you're giving more fuel to your enemies in a way. So it's
I know, and say what you will about Mitch McConnell, but that sort of terse saying that he had, what was it? She was warned, she was given an explanation, nevertheless she persisted. His own expert handle on rhetoric was used against him for the liberal side.
Yeah.
And so there you have an example of, well, the people are going to do what they feel is right.
Yeah. He literally gave them a slogan to
Yeah,
come
and
back
hashtag.
And
It's gone
It's
viral.
trending.
Yeah. Crazy. I also want to talk about the fact that Warren she's up for re-election in 2018, and she also has a book coming out in April. How much play do you think she knew that trying to read this speech would get her shut down and create this whole commotion? Because if they hadn't shut her down, this would have just been
another day.
Yeah,
just an-
that
Yeah.
no one cares about. But then, do you think she knew this might have happened and like would create more buzz for her re-election and her book and all of that?
I think that's a good point, but I don't really think that was her, what she was aiming for. I think, she had it planned out what she was going to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly didn't know she had a book coming out.
Yeah, she does.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was her strategy, because that was very clever.
Yeah.
And
If
Warren is
so,
very clever.
yeah.
If so, I need to take a class from her.
Well, and she was interviewed last week by Trevor Noah right after the incident occurred, and she just, if you saw that interview, she just breezed right on past the news of the day, and she was on to her next point. And so if it was strategic, so to speak, it's also a strategy of hers to be 5 steps ahead, to be looking at the next issue and to be pushing her legislation.
Especially re-election, knowing that in the coming years for the election in the Senate, the Democratic seats are completely going to decrease to what they are now. So it's going to be more competitive than ever.
Yeah. And so after she was silenced, as it's not being called.
As it's being called.
She was also forbidden from participating, and she talked to CNN, and she said, "I literally can't be recognized on the floor of the Senate. I have become a non-person during the discussion of Jeff Sessions." So the debate was on whether Jeff Sessions should be allowed to be Trump's Attorney General. And Coretta Scott King's letter was from, I think it was 1986. Yeah, from 1986, when Sessions was in the running to be a federal judge. And he was not approved because of racism that they found in his background.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, like, I don't know, it's just wild that he wasn't even approved for that position, and now he's actually being considered to be Attorney General. Like, to me, that's mind-blowing.
Well, it makes you wonder, like, can a person, so if we're just looking at Jeff Sessions in general, can a person change that much in so many years?
Well, people back when Hillary Clinton was running, they argued that there were some archives about a case that she had done. I don't remember exactly what it was. I'm like marring part right now. It was about a little girl. I believe it was like a Title IX case, maybe a sexual abuse case.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that case?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she came out this election season about being against sexual harassment and very for women. So maybe people do change. I'm not sure. If we're looking at different kinds of cases, at different kinds of people, especially in politics, everything is like historical. Everything is there.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I think Jeff Sessions is too old to change. I think, like,
I know,
with
right?
younger people, I can give a little more leeway and say, oh, maybe you've had these new life experiences. Maybe you went to college. Maybe you started working in this new industry, and that's changed you. But at, how old is he? Like 70?
70s.
Yeah, I think it's a little too late to expect change. And I think if he seems changed, which to me he doesn't, but if he seems changed, I think it's easily an act.
Yeah.
I don't see any different from the Sessions that Coretta Scott King talked about in her letter to the Sessions right now. I mean, in the letter she says, Mr. Sessions has used the awesome powers of his office in a shabby attempt to intimidate and frighten elderly black voters. And I think if he becomes Attorney General, it's not going to be much different.
And it's also a matter of, like, the accusation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, voter disenfranchisement is a pretty big problem, considering, you're working for democracy.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think the fact that, going back to the whole process of Warren being silenced, the fact that she was warned and then they let her continue and then they came back and said, no, actually stop. I don't know, what was that about? Is that like a process thing where they had to let her keep reading so they can accumulate votes, or I don't know how it
I
really
think
works.
so. I'm not too sure how it works either.
Yeah, but it was a little weird that they let her keep reading. After they warned her, they let her keep reading, and then they came back and stopped her. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of bouncing off that, it seemed to me like she was almost, like, prepared for it. I don't know. Like, I don't think it was premeditated, but I don't know, from, like, looking at her body language, it seemed like she was, and it's usually, prepared for anything that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely when I watched that video, I got that vibe because I was like, if I was in that situation, I probably would have just started crying as soon as they told me to, like, they need to be quiet. And she just kept talking and she knew exactly what to say next.
I know.
And she didn't freak out at all.
And I think I would have gotten, like, really feisty, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't know, but she kept her composure.
Yeah, regardless, she was able to.
Yeah, this definitely fed her everything that she's been doing, because if you guys remember, there was a huge uproar on social media, not as big as this one, but there was a huge uproar about like people being frustrated that she voted in favor of Ben Carson to as Trump's nominee for the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and liberals were PO'd. I don't know if I can say pissed. Liberals were pissed, and then now everyone has forgotten about that. And people would have been on that for a while had the Senate Republicans not made a crap show of something that I don't think was that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just goes back
Puts into
to
perspective of what people think are important, or what the media thinks is important, and what they choose to focus on.
Yeah.
And the people ourselves, because I think us as a people are also a part of that media.
Yeah.
With Twitter and Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, and especially with, like, the hashtag, she persisted, you know?
Yeah.
I read this funny tweet that someone said, "I hope someone put she persisted on my tombstone."
Oh, yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
I think there's another one like hashtag let Liz speak.
Yeah,
Yeah, that one. That's
Yeah, that's funny. Well, talking about women, Vogue also came under fire recently, last week, for their diversity cover. So I have the picture here. I don't know how well y'all gonna see it, but you can Google it. There's this picture right here. Rashad's gonna show y'all. Rashad's our handy dandy cameraman.
We love him. He's amazing.
But yeah, that's the cover of Vogue,
I'm also on
and it's supposed to be their diversity issue, and people are saying it's not diverse because, for one, only Ashley Graham, this fabulous woman right here, is the only
plus size model.
the only plus size model, and then they have different models from different ethnicities. It's featuring Liu Wen, Ashley Graham, Kendall Jenner, Gigi Hadid, Iman Haman, Aboa, dang, I'm sure I'm butchering that, and Vittoria Soretti. So those are the 7 models. And people are saying not only is it not body diverse, it's not diverse with body sizes, but it's also not that ethnically diverse because, quotes, this is not me, this is a quote from someone who posted on Twitter saying none of the models are darker than a paper bag, which goes back to the historical, like, paper bag rule that was used in, like, segregation days. But do you guys think people are just being petty and, like, nitpicking? Or do you think Vogue being such a huge influence in fashion and, like, culture should have thought harder about it?
I mean, there's one issue that's being raised about Gigi Hadid's wrist being photoshopped to cover up Ashley Graham's stomach, but I feel like that one's kind of a reach, although her
arm
wrist does look really
very
awkward.
long.
Yeah. I don't
Look
know
at
if
that.
Vogue would be willing to do that, but
I mean,
it does
her,
look very
her
awkward.
arm goes from, like,
Across
Kendall's
Kendall.
stomach all the way to Ashley. That's like 2 body.
It's like a gargantuan
yeah.
forearm.
Vogue. And then in the photo, Ashley also has her arm over her leg. She's the only one who has her arm over her leg, and they were saying that's to give the appearance of a slimmer leg. And
I don't know. I'm kind of buying that one, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of buying
I
it.
see how it would be possible, but I don't know if would they really just stretch out her whole wrist just for that?
I don't know.
I don't
They could
think Vogue
easily
is
just make
smart
it slim.
enough.
Yeah.
Oops. But I don't think they think about it like that seriously. I think people do, like, reach sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think my bigger problem with it is that, okay, the cover says women rule, fashion's fearless females. But of all the 7 models, the only 3 that are, like, household names and famous and we all know about them are Gigi, Kendall, and Ashley, who are all white. And Ashley is very new to the scene. Like, Gigi and Kendall are the it girls. So it's like, are we only using models of different ethnicities when we need to create a diverse cover? Like, you were telling me earlier that the Asian model...
Yeah, this is the first time American Vogue has an Asian woman on the cover.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they wanted to promote diversity, they could just start a new campaign where they want to have a girl of a different race or ethnicity on each cover. I mean, hasn't it only been like 4 black women who have been the cover stars of Vogue or something like that?
So it's like, do they only get coverage or like get spotlight when it's in comparison to like white skinny models? I don't know. That's my bigger problem with it than Gigi's arm. Maybe Gigi needs to, I don't know, see like a surgeon or something, but I don't know. And Ashley also defended it. Ashley Graham, the plus size model, she defended Vogue on her Instagram. She said, I chose to pose like that. Do you guys think she's just saying that to keep her check?
If I was on the Vogue cover, I'd defend it, no matter how much they photoshopped me.
I don't know what I would do. I think I would speak out against it, probably.
Really?
Yeah, unless maybe she chose to do that. I don't know though. I don't know. I wouldn't underestimate the power of Vogue and like they're very detailed. They think about everything. I mean, like a strand of hair is a big deal.
The thing is, it seems like they're trying to make the image very symmetrical with how their hands are placed.
Mm-hmm.
So why would hers be placed on her leg where they can easily be like, you know what, put it on the girl next to you. That way we have kind of the same structure going on.
It's like that saying from Sesame Street, which one of these is not like the other one?
Yeah.
Wow.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's suspicious.
Yeah.
It truly is. I don't know. I think Vogue, they were giving this great opportunity. Like, let's do an issue. Let's do a cover, even more so, on like to promote diversity in the fashion industry. Let's achieve this like momentous image. And I feel like honestly they failed. I don't know if that's just me. But there are so many beautiful women. They're of diverse like backgrounds in the fashion industry all over the world. And I think they didn't do that justice.
Yeah.
And I think of the people who are on there, dang. It sounds like yes, let's be diverse, but let's sprinkle some celebrities so it's famous, so it's viral.
Yeah, and that's where my mind was going to, is like, let's look at the socioeconomic status and background of these women. So, you know, color is one thing, race is one thing, how people identify culturally, but then Gigi Hadid, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and then Kendall, I mean, among the other models, they're from like extremely wealthy families.
Yeah.
And so
Already famous families as well.
yeah, so there's kind of
true.
like this, I don't know, there's something there.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if they just did regular women, not necessarily from the fashion industry, but who would consider themselves like fashion icons. Like, not necessarily like my mom, but I mean, she does consider herself a fashion icon.
Lana's mom.
But I'd be interested to see if they would tackle that kind of challenge, like just to take everyday women who embrace fashion as a way to embrace their personality and put them on the cover to promote diversity in socioeconomic status, in ethnicity, in height, in body. Like, that's a challenge, but I think that's something that the world needs to see.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think they were maybe, I don't know, playing devil's advocate. Vogue is not paying me, BT dubs. But maybe they were trying to tackle the idea of like those who are on the top representing the rest of us. And for them to be on the top, they have to be different from us in some way. And that way, I guess, is socioeconomic backgrounds. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's just difficult overall. I think the lack of like different body types is very obvious. Like, there's no going back about it. But the color thing is.
I mean,
Too
this picture's in
ironic.
black and white, and there's very little shade.
Yeah,
during it.
yeah. That's a good point.
I don't know. I feel bad like nitpicking because I'm like, okay, at least they recognize that they're people of different color. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they've had years coming. Vogue has always gotten a lot of, attention. Like when they did the cover with Michelle Obama, she looked beautiful, but she's one of the very few black women who have covered Vogue.
Yeah.
And
And she's on the cover
to do
because
it.
she's the
She was
first
the first
lady.
lady at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a
Mm.
random black beautiful woman that's on the cover.
Yeah. And still, every time that they have, every few times that they've had a black woman on the cover, they get a lot of, controversy saying that they should have more, and yet they never address it. And if this is a way of addressing it, they could have done a better job.
Yeah.
Well,
Still,
like,
They could have gotten Malia Obama up there.
that's true.
They-
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Socioeconomic status again.
True. We can't win.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, they need to have a cover addressing body types, race, socioeconomic background.
Sexuality,
Sex-
religion.
yes. They need to
Do you
just
think
have
those things
everything.
should be addressed separately or all together? What do you think would actually
I mean,
capture?
Vogue is a very highly editorial magazine, so obviously they're going to go with very rich and well-known models.
Yeah.
But they could have done better. There is several beautiful women of color that are models that could do very great editorial looks, and they went with the, well, for the white women, they went with like Kendall Jenner and Gigi Hadid, which everyone knows right now.
Yeah. And they look very similar. Like,
Yeah.
all these
Their
models
faces
look...
are, it's like the same.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Symmetry. So I read somewhere that, like, beauty is determined by symmetry.
Yeah.
I read that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess that's what they're trying to do, but I don't know.
I mean, I think it's still beautiful, yes,
Yeah.
but does it address what they wanted to address? I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah.
And I think with the time frame, like with the Muslim ban and everything going on,
Mhm.
they should have had like
They
a
should have done
hijabi
a woman.
cover.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
should
they
just had a
have.
stunning, like, nobody, not nobody, like, she doesn't mean it, but nobody, like, a non-famous, like, Muslim girl in the hijab. I think that would have been powerful.
That would have been really
Ooh,
cool.
what do you-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, with the time frame, they could
Religious
have been more,
diversity? Mhm.
yeah, they
Yeah.
could have been more
They could even go
thoughtful.
the, I forget her name, sorry, but the athlete who went to the Olympics for fencing,
Yes.
who was the first American
Yeah,
athlete.
anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
take much to please
And
us.
she's black, right?
Yeah, she is.
2 birds, 1 stone. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Catch us next week.
At the right time, maybe.
Yeah.
We won't have technical difficulties anymore. But also feel free to send us questions to talk about next week, and feel free to jump in on the show every week. And yeah.
Yeah. Or stop us on campus if you have any questions.
Yep, we can talk about politics or
Yeah.
something fun.
Awkwardly
feelings.
stop us on campus. Giovanna works at Joe's. Stop her at Joe's and talk to her. You can find Gabrielle and I and Marka at the Hilltop Views.
I'm trying to get
office.
quotes.
Make sure you follow our other social media platforms as well on Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. We're Hilltop Views everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.